Hi, how y'all doing? September the 13th, 2025. I just checking, I gotta make sure. Yeah. Here in Ontario, Canada, the skies were blue and cloudy. Lots of clouds, not much blue. Right? Temperature was about 22. It gets really hot, really warm about 11 o'clock. And then cools off in the afternoon and then heats up again at night. Different, right? Um, How'd I sleep last night? Not great. I dreamt, but nothing vivid, so that's good. The Schuman's at, what was it, 26 today. So down quite a bit from the 71 yesterday, right? I got up in the rise and I was like, I gotta do something. I didn't have a lot of icky sensations in my spine or anything, or my feet. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the res. It takes about an hour to drive there, an hour and a half and back, right? So I went out there, had a good ride. I went about 9 in the rise, right? Not a lot of vehicles. So that makes me happy because I got nobody tailgating me and stuff, right? Trying to force me to speed. I'm a Taurus. You can't force me to do anything, right? So hit me and it's your fault. You're buying me a new car, right? So yeah, I got to the res, got inside. A couple younger men, younger than me, right? One redheaded man turned around and looked at me, right? Checking me out. I was like, whoa, right? It wasn't in a bad way. I thought, that's different. And then I went into, they have a weed shop there too, so I went in and checked them out, bought a little something, came back out, waited for everybody to clear out, got up to the cash, started talking to the woman that was working there, and just I have a way of getting them into a conversation, right? And I asked her, I said, did you get the thing? And she goes, what? I said, the job? She goes, no. And I went, cool. And she goes, I said, I didn't think so. And she goes, how'd you know? And I was like, I could just tell by your energy, by your aura. She goes, yeah, eh? I said, yeah. I said, it's just different, isn't it? You know, and she goes, it is. And then we talked about that a little bit, right? And then she started talking about her birth chart and astrology. She was a Libra with a lot of Scorpio, heavy Scorpio, right? But, and numerology, right? I found another one, finally, right? Even a little bit more aware than other people I know that didn't get the job. It was nice. She doesn't live in this town though. She lives a couple towns away. She says, I'm always here though. I'm always here, right? I said, right on. She goes, it was so nice meeting you. I said, yes it is. Or, yes it was. It was nice meeting you. And she goes, I'm trying to be more, what did she say? I don't know if it was confident or, no, she said she's been feeling like there's a fog, you know, because of the collective consciousness, how it's feeling. I said, yeah, they're living in fear right now because they're watching the news and they believe in those lies. She goes, I know, right? She says, it's affecting me. I'm trying really hard to ground because I mentioned she had green fingernail polish. I said, I like that color of green. And she goes, thank you. I said, it's my favorite color, right? I told her I'm a Taurus. She said, no wonder. I said, yeah, Earth sign, right? She goes, yeah. And I said, you're not trying. I said, there's no try. You do or do not. You say, I am grounding. I am grounded. And she goes, yeah, you're right. Right? She believed like I did. The Bible's all a lie. The invaders brought it. It's meant here to, it's brought to control people. Right? And to give you all this stuff to be afraid of. You know? In your mind so that you'll manifest it for yourself. You know? To scare yourself all the time. Keep you in a low vibration. I said, yeah, and if there's a God, it's a female. She goes, I agree 100%. I said, yeah, because men can't create anything, right? She goes, yeah, yeah, right? It was a very nice conversation, right? Uplifted us both, you know? So, yeah, it was very nice meeting her. Then I drove home. There was only one crazy person on the road, but he passed me and got way ahead, right? So, yeah. Then I came home and I just been relaxing all day. This afternoon I felt a little bit antsy, right? Like, I'm not sure. I wanted to do something, but I didn't want to do anything. And I talked myself out of doing anything, and I forgot to make bread. I was like, dang, I forgot to make bread. I knew there was something else I wanted to do, right? But the energy is so wonky. We're in between eclipses here. So it's a time of change, right? In betweens. And we're into the moon phase of the last quarter. And that's about breathe and elevate, right? So ground. When you breathe, you stay grounded. Find the stillness in your breath, right? Because when you concentrate on breathing, you're not in your head thinking, right? Because you have to inhale, hold it for 4, and then exhale. And keep on doing it over and over. And you're thinking about it, right? That's all you're thinking about. So it helps you ground. So yeah, my friend too, she was going down with her brother to a couple bigger towns down the highway. So Valley Village, and I asked her to pick me up some double sheets if she could. And she did. So, around 7 o'clock, or was it 7 o'clock? Nah, it was before that. 6:30, something like that. She knocked on the door and she looked pretty tired. She got me one, they're not matching, a fitted and a flat sheet, but it's linen. It's not that microfiber shit, right? So, gonna wash it tomorrow. And yeah, it wasn't very expensive. It cost me 15 bucks. I give her 20, right? Just for her walking around kind of thing. She bought herself a bunch of different stuff. And then she went home. I think she was tired because she was with her brother and her stepfather, and they both got the thing, right? So it means she was around low vibrational people all day. She seemed to be in a bit of a mood when she came, right? You know what I mean? I thought, that's probably what's affected her, their negative energy, you know? But, hey, it's okay. Everything happens for a reason. So, yeah. Seeing a crow. It didn't fly past, it was sitting on the left-hand side of the road. Or raven, I should say. Crow's just a little smaller form of a raven. It's like a dove and a pigeon are the same thing. This one's bigger, you know? There's all kinds of stuff like that we weren't taught. We were taught it's different. And there was a bunch of other stuff too, but I'm not recalling it. I'm not bringing it to mind right now. I was listening to some music this afternoon too, just to try to change the vibe. It's been very quiet around here today in the hood, right? Not much noise or anything. I heard somebody driving around the town squealing their tires. I was waiting to hear a big smash, but I didn't, so I guess they were just, what do you call that? Not joyriding. Oh, I can't remember. The cops have a name for it. I'm sure you know what I mean. Stunt driving. Stuff like that, right? I think that's something young people just do. If you got the balls, try out your skill, right? When I was 16 years old, probation officer told me I should be the first female race car driver because I made it to a city almost 100 miles away in 20 minutes. It was in my uncle's Camaro. I took it for a joyride. We had a good stereo. It's all story, right? Those are the days when I was going through lessons, let me tell you. Right? but I got probation out of it, so yeah. It took a lot of lessons to get me where I am, you know. But when I was telling her about the, I said, you know, in Jamaica, I said, they don't say left, right? They say right, and then they say forward, because left is a bad word. You know what I mean? So it's right, forward, right? And just like they don't say bless, because it's be less, right? I said it's rising higher and higher. You know what I mean? She said, I like it, I like it. I said something, we both got goosebumps. You know, and I said, I just got goosebumps. She goes, I did too. I said, that's so weird, isn't it? I said, it's just, you know, what it is, isn't it? It knows that our souls were happy to be hearing truth. That was a beautiful thing. It really is when we come together like that. We meet each other, right? What was her name? Kara. So yeah, and then as I was leaving the store, right, I said to her, what's your name? And she goes, Kara. I said, I'm Teresa. And we shook hands. And she goes, it was nice meeting you. I said, yeah. And I was turned around and left, and this man with white hair and tattoos and stuff was coming in, right? So I just, you know, walked out. And as I was leaving, I heard him say, is that Teresa? Did I hear her say her name was Teresa? Teresa Ketch? And she goes, her name's Teresa. And I turned around and I said, what? And he goes, Teresa Ketch, is that you? And I said, yes. I said, who are you? And he said, Dan Riley. I said, Dan Riley. I said, oh yeah, I remember you. I said, we used to party in our 20s, right? Like a group of us, right? It's a town thing. And he goes, yeah, yeah, it's been a long time. He told me where he was living. I said, what are you doing here? She started laughing, right? Because I guess I question like a cop sometimes, or people who say, you cop, you're writing a book, right? And he goes, well, visiting my nephew and stuff. I said, right on. Well, have a good day, right? And I left. I haven't seen him for like, 40 years, you know? So that was different, wasn't it? So, yeah. Nothing come out of it, though. I had a feeling he got the thing. It's just the way his energy was, so I didn't even bother to ask. I gotta give myself a quest here and see if I can figure it out without asking people. I will ask, but I'm gonna guess first. Alright? See if I can see their aura. So, yeah. Alright. I think that's enough for today. Every day I'm stronger than the day before. Every day I make myself more happy than the day before. And every day I meet more chosen ones more than the day before. I love you all as a consciousness. Enjoy this night or day. Okay? Okay. Bye.